Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man. I'm Spider-Man. Oh my god, it's Spider-Man. There are exactly two superheroes who matter, Batman and Spider-Man. Though they're from different universes, they both protect the greatest city in America that owes its greatness to copious amounts of pepperoni. You can say the Bat, but you can't say the Spider. The latter doesn't have the same effect. Curiously, you can say Spider-Man, because there's enough of a bounce to it. Thugs also call him the Bug. I guess that works too. I should probably return to playing the game I bought for $60. Oh wait, it was $40. As Spider-Man is an obligatory open world game, you might expect it to be one of the games of all time, but it's actually among the best open world games for a few key reasons. Now available on PC, Spider-Man has been an insanely popular Sony title for the past few years. By taking a look at what this masterpiece does right, we may discover that open world games needn't settle for mediocrity. Navigation is the best place to start this discussion because movement mechanics appear to have informed the success of the MVP. Hideki Matsui, nah. Sit out of the pack. Get a beer here. Dehydrate yourself even more. Not that MVP. I mean most viable product. For the unfamiliar, a most viable product is like a pilot episode, by which I mean pilot rather than episode 1 of 12 available at the same time. Building an entire video game and having it flop costs a lot of money, so developers build an internal demo to decide whether fundamental mechanics, like fighting or moving, are fun enough to furnish into a complete game. It's more of a software development term than one specific to games. Like any open world game, Spider-Man brims with combat experiences, collectibles, side quests, viewpoints, landmarks, bases, and James Pizzeria no slices. But the mere act of slinging yourself through the air as your thoughts melt away is inexplicably fun in and of itself. Spider-Man's navigational elements owe their effectiveness to complexity, which also explains why old Spider-Man games are such garbage. When you're playing as Tobey Maguire on the GameCube, swinging is all you can do, but in Sony's Spider-Man, swinging is an inefficient and slow option in comparison to other methods, like web zipping followed by point launching, as I'm doing here. In Spider-Man, you need to look where you're going. Buildings must be above you for you to use your web, while Tobey Maguire just flies around a fixed area. Because its movement mechanics require genuine brain activity, Spider-Man is the first game I've ever played that offers an overall positive collectible experience. I'm dead serious. Obtaining Peter Parker's 50 backpacks, taking pictures of landmarks in my city, and moving toward objectives were literally enjoyable. Secret landmarks add to the fun for those who can handle the frustration. If you know the city, you can find landmarks the game hasn't labeled. For example, I studied at Columbia University's high school summer program as a kid. Sure enough, Spider-Man can visit Morningside University at 116th and Broadway on the Upper West Side. I took a picture of one of the buildings to complete a secret landmark objective. You can also take a picture of the embassy for Stan Lee's fake Vulcan that waves the Hungarian flag, because I guess they're all the same if you live in the United States, but we Jews notice, okay? The point is, I spent the entire first third of the game completing navigational objectives, saving none for the distant post-game. I'm the most obsessive completionist I know, and I don't even do that most of the time. Spider-Man's combat was probably a further aspect of the MVP. Upon first glance, combat might seem like little beyond that of the Arkham series. Good eye, one of the best AAA games ever made, takes inspiration from one of the best AAA games ever made. No one can fault such a business strategy. You give the second face button the night of its life, and you dodge incoming attacks from an intuitive suite of stimulatingly diverse enemies, including enemies that reference the bad guy from Iron Man 2. The key distinction is aerial combat, which even Batman doesn't have the money to achieve. Holding the second face button, you can launch enemies and damage them in air. This is an excellent way to isolate them. A further testament to aerial combat's effectiveness as a game mechanic is that you can't use it indiscriminately, because it takes more time than staying on the ground. When 27 thugs are aiming guns at you, you might not benefit from the exposure and extra time necessary to fight in air. Spider-Man's suite of gear also differs from Batman's. With his webs, he can throw pretty much anything at people. He can throw people at people. Between trip mines and drones, Spider-Man's arsenal isn't special, but it definitely makes combat and stealth scenarios easier. Spider-Man's gadgets are far from necessary, but they're also helpful. Sekiro is my favorite AAA game of all time, and even I must admit, that his umbrella is useless, unless it's raining. If you want to beat the ever-loving Christ out of people, stick to swords, or be Spider-Man. To thin large waves of thugs or bypass stealth situations faster, you can invest in gear upgrades and learn which gadgets are most intuitive to you. I like the electric web and the trip mine. You can also equip your suit with an ultimate ability and 3 passives. Most passives keep you alive, while some let you hit harder. I missed your damage build, so I did my usual. Lastly, stealth was likely an important part of the MVP. Sneaking from takedown to takedown is fun, easy, and time-consuming. By starting a fight, you'll make yourself more vulnerable, but you'll incapacitate enemies more efficiently. You'll have to be selective about when to be stealthy, taking advantage of ambush tactics more than anything else. A clever combination of stealth and combat is necessary to beat the game. It's not an either-or gig. From core mechanics, we can move on to what Spider-Man makes us do with them. Let's start with challenges. Several challenges across the map test combat, stealth, and navigational abilities. By far, these challenges are the most difficult part of the game, unless you can settle for a bronze medal. But some are the most fun part of the game, especially clearing bases. As a Ubisoft slut, I live to clear bases, so I have no complaints about those. Otherwise, stealth challenges are freebies, combat challenges are stimulating, and challenges that force you to use certain gadgets are sparse. Though there are clear categories of these challenges, they differ enough from each other to remain interesting until they're all complete. Obviously, climbing isn't much of a challenge for Spider-Man, so viewpoints involve these little wavelength puzzles to unlock areas of the map. You'll also find certain spectrograph and pipe puzzles throughout the game. While these puzzles aren't that difficult, they entertained by using cues to guide players towards solutions. Side quests are further excuses for Spider-Man to indulge in a group of combat, stealth, or navigational challenges. They can also be pretty funny if you've had enough to drink. On top of a singularly excellent collectible experience, Spider-Man also offers side quest chains that few games can rival. Especially for Souls veterans like me, Spider-Man's bosses are weird because they're not part of the enemy hordes that make the game challenging and interesting, but they're not glorified cutscenes either. Unlike those of other popular games, bosses don't rely on exceptional difficulty to generate interest. Rather, they maintain interest by introducing unique mechanics that exist only within the confines of one fight. In a world where everyone wants to copy Dark Souls, Spider-Man's bosses are alright, but don't expect them to carry the entire game like Genichiro. Narrative is the final profound strength of Spider-Man I'd like to address. Where would this game be without the comic that inspired it? From a Stan Lee cameo to a roll call of several famous enemies, there's plenty of fan servicing for the MCU nerds who speak their own language. But you'll want to know what happens to these characters regardless of how big a Marvel fan you are. Art and music aren't interesting in their own right, but they make the narrative more powerful. As a Sony exclusive, Spider-Man is a deeply cinematic experience, and watching what's essentially a movie is as fun as the gameplay. The narrative is definitely good enough to rival contemporaries like Norse God of War and The Last of Us. If you're looking for an initial foray into gaming, Spider-Man is among the best places to start, especially since the remaster comes with DLC that ostensibly doubles the game. Even on the hardest difficulty, everything feels fair and balanced. Playing on normal might actually be too easy. A final testament to the game's incredible quality is that most players have earned most achievements. This isn't the type of game people buy and never find time to play. I can't believe I'm saying this about a dime a dozen open world game, but the mastery players can develop and exhibit while playing Spider-Man is what video games are all about. I'm beginning to think good open world games are so dense with activity as to be nothing more than Metroidvanias in disguise, because Tsushima and Horizon also knocked it out of the park for me. Now, I've already beaten Miles Morales, so I'd like to start Spider-Man 2, which is sitting in my nightstand drawer at the time of recording. I look forward to more six suits, badass abilities, and beating the crap out of thugs. Don't kill the same thing all the time, because superheroes don't do that, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.